Respected sister and brothers, I'm very happy to be here, have opportunity to talk or share some of my sort of ideas or feeling on the basis of my own experience. Now, firstly, we are human beings. Like any other sentient being, want happiness, do not want suffering. Yet, 7 billion human beings on this planet, lot of sort of problem, essentially our own creation. It is quite sad. We do not want suffering. We want happy life. Yet, due to short-sighted and self-centered, narrow-minded, there's a lot of problem, essentially our own creation. However, basic human nature, according to scientists, we are social animal. Therefore, you see, certain kind of sort of concern for their own community as a social animal. So one individual's future depends on the community. So now in modern time, due to technology, information, and due to these sort of factor, whole world and economy, global economy, whole world like one human community. So now, since many problems which our own creation on the basis of too much sort of emphasis, we and they, in spite same part of same human community. So now, in order to reduce these human-created problem, including war, the thousands different species of mammals, birds, they never develop war. Only human being. Organized violence. Only all human beings' creation in the history also. Lot of war in human history, not other animal. So now still we are 21st century. Now we're still carrying the sort of thinking or kasoda, I think, mentality or thinking in previous centuries. There's too much emphasis we and they, and use a lot of weapons and killing. Now we are 21st century. We should not repeat the 20th century's too many violence. First World War, Second World War, and Vietnam War, and many civil war. Now even today, now in Arab area, very serious sort of situation. All these our own creation. One way, everyone, including these soldiers, they also love their own life. They want happy life. But, you see, under order, you see, they carry the weapon And the very sort of, also the purpose of a weapon is killing. And the world, so many poor people there, yet a lot of money spent for weapon. Very sad. In 20th century, it happened that way. That is past. Now we should think genuine peace, genuine harmony among the humanity. And when we think the gap rich and poor, the poor people in Africa, in Asia also, in Europe also, the poor people, their main concern is day-to-day life. I think world have some potential to help these people and reduce gap rich and poor. But you see, these money used for sort of develop more weapons. Very sad. One way, whole world, everybody say peace, peace, peace. Peace not through prayer, but we have to make effort. In order to develop peace, we have to make effort to reduce violence and to reduce weapons. So now, like Mahatma Gandhiji's non-violence, any problem we have to solve through dialogue, non-violent way. That's India's tradition. Over 3,000 years, the concept of ahimsa and karuna. That's India's tradition. Buddha, Shakyamuni, and Mahavira, Jain, all these great thinkers, they carry the 1,000-year-old India's tradition of ahimsa, karuna. So, today's world, I think India's tradition, ahimsa, karuna, is really very relevant to today's world. So, in order to show world, like previous century, 20th century, Mahatma Gandhi show world non-violent struggle. So in South Africa and many countries, many people follow the later American Kasa, Martin Luther King, totally dedicated Mahatma Gandhi's path. So therefore, now India's 1,000-year-old tradition very much based on ahimsa, karuna. That now world need that. In order to offer or some contribution for world, firstly, within India, you should revive this ancient Indian tradition, Indian thought, ahimsa, karuna. So these, so India, I feel, I always sort of expressing, India is the only nation who can combine the modern education, which oriented about material value, and plus the ancient Indian knowledge, how to develop peace of mind. So therefore, within India should revive this ancient Indian knowledge, how to bring peace of mind and how to tackle anger, frustration. So more compassionate mind here, your way of life carry more honest truthful. That brings self-confidence. That increase inner strength, like Mahatma Gandhi ji. So therefore, now this country, I think you can check Egyptian civilization, Chinese civilization, and Sand Valley scholar, Indus Valley civilization. I think this Indus Valley civilization, which is India's civilization, I think produced most great thinkers, philosopher, not in Chinese tradition or Egyptian sort of civilization. I don't think. So this country, over 3,000 years now, produced a lot of great thinkers, and India still keep or the influence of ahimsa still there. As a result, this now most populated democratic country very peaceful and religious harmony there because ahimsa. And our neighbor country, Afghanistan, and these Syria and Iraq, this area, same Muslim, Sunni, Shia, fighting, killing. And then Egypt, Christian and Muslim problem. And unfortunately, in Burma, Buddhist, Muslim, some problem. So it is unthinkable. All major religious traditions carry same message of love, inspired in different philosophy. People who suppose follow practice of loving kindness and fighting each other, killing each other. Unthinkable. When we saw these things, really we admire India's 1,000-year-old religious harmony. These, because of 1,000-year-old India's tradition, ahimsa. So intellectual level, debate, criticism, but physical level, very peaceful. Among within Nalanda's also the Buddhist scholars. So a lot of sort of argument, a lot of criticism each other, but very peaceful. So now India is the living example. All major world religious traditions can live together at a mutual respect, and sometimes mutual learning. That's India's also 1,000-year-old concept of ahimsa that creates that kind of religious harmony. And politically also, it's a democratic country. During election, a little bit heated discussions or criticism sometimes happen, but very peaceful. Okay. So India's 1,000-year-old tradition, ahimsa, karuna, and also this country, over 3,000 years, concept of shamatha, single-pointed meditation, and the concept of vipassana, analytical meditation, already developed in this country. So India truly, I think, produce many great thinkers. So India's 1,000-year-old tradition, ahimsa and karuna, now world need. So firstly, within the country, now here, the teachers and the students, you should pay more attention about is ancient Indian knowledge. The ahimsa, not just a slogan, but insight, karuna. Karuna carried ahimsa. So karuna not through prayer, but training. So in that respect, as you mentioned, the Nalanda tradition, Sanskrit tradition, Buddha himself, told his follower, "Oh, my follower, monks, scholars should not accept my teaching out of faith, out of devotion, but rather thorough investigation and experiment." So Buddha himself, expressed that way. So Pali tradition, according also the Nalanda tradition, the Buddha first dharma teaching soon after he enlightened at Sanath, that recorded in Pali. Now Sri Lanka, Burma, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, now these countries seriously practice, follow these Buddha's teaching. The monkhood, wonderful. Now, second Dharma teaching Buddha give at Rajgiri. Now, mainly in Sanskrit. So we say a Paramita Sutra he taught at Rajgiri. Marve, Rajgiri. So there Paramita Sutra. A lot of explanation about ultimate reality of everything. So that the Nalanda institution, as an academic institution, now they carry the particular Buddha Dharma in general, particularly the Sanskrit tradition, that very much utilize our brain, analyze. So one of my Indian friend, Raja Ramana, late Raja Ramana, he told me once, quantum physics in Europe, something new. In this country, over 2,500 years already developed quantum physics. It's very true. So now these days, now over 40 years, I have a serious discussion with modern scientists, including quantum physicists. So I want to share one of my secrets, that is when the quantum physicists, they explain about quantum physics, and I humbly listen. But inside my mind, I feel I know better. Because we 20, 30 years study that. And not only study intellectual level, meditate in daily. So the quantum physicists, they say that nothing exists objectively, ultimately related with observer. Then modern quantum physicists, if we raise the question, where is observer? No answer. In this country, you see, thoroughly investigate where is self, where is I. So now here, you see the differences, Atma concept, Anatma theory, different sort of theories, because they investigate where is self, where is I. So now, like the, as I mentioned earlier, so quantum physics, as Raja Ramana says, it is very true. So therefore, then psychology. many psychologists, scientists, you see, when we explain about these things, they show eagerness to learn from ancient Indian psychology. So sometimes little bit sort of exaggeration, I expressing, as far as the psychology is concerned, Western psychologist knowledge compare Indian psychology, their psychology sort of level is a kindergarten level. Indian psychology, highly developed. So now more and more psychologists from West is really showing as a result of more discussion like that. And then quantum physics, as already I mentioned. And then logic, or the Nalanda tradition, especially, you see, sort of emphasis, importance of logical approach. Even Buddha's own word, we never say yes, yes, no, why. We raise question and investigate. Then Buddha's teaching, some Buddha's teaching, when he investigate, further sort of clear about his teaching through reasoning, then we accept that. But some Buddha's teaching, according particular audience, you see some his sort of teaching, little bit sort of, also they, not very, when we thoroughly investigate some contradiction, so we reject even Buddha's own word. Like Nalanda's, the top scholar, like Nagarjuna and Aryadeva, Buddhapalita, and Dharmakirti, Chandrakirti. Now these people investigate Buddha's own teaching. When they find some through reasoning, investigate some sort of contradiction, then we reject Buddha's own word. So we, according to Nalanda tradition, we say Buddha's teaching, some Buddha's teaching literally can accept, some Buddha's teaching literally we cannot accept. That's quite unique. So that shows we emphasis reasoning, investigation. So Nalanda master, many Nalanda master, they emphasis reasoning, logical approach. So since 8th century, the Tibetan emperor, Tibetan king, Chisung Dezen, now he invite 8th century, around that period, top master of Nalanda was Chandrarakshita. He invited to Tibet. Now, Chandrarakshita himself, top scholar of Nalanda institution. So he introduced Buddha Dharma according to Nalanda tradition, including logic, Buddhist logic. So Chinese Buddhism also, you see, same source from Nalanda tradition, but they not much pay attention about logic. So some important text about logic, Digna, Dharmakirti, these two persons, they are writing, they are great logicians. So they are writing, not translated into Chinese language. We Tibetan, all these texts translated into Tibetan. Because Chandrarakshita himself, great logician, his own writing, some logic things. So therefore, we as a follower, as a student of Chandrarakshita, over 1,000 years, we pay much more attention, study about logic. So now, Today, I think whole Buddhist world, I think Tibetan tradition, only Tibetan tradition, you see, carry complete sort of the knowledge of Nalanda master. So now gradually, many people, sometimes you see Buddhists from Pali tradition, Burma, Thailand, you see now more and more people now came to see me. So since we become very close friend, so I teasing, you see, your tradition without logic, then like without teeth. So some difficult subject, they cannot bite because no teeth. The Nalanda tradition, Sanskrit tradition, we thoroughly study logic. So no matter how hard you can. So the logic, very important. So usually you see we traditionally in Tibetan monastic institution, the Madhyamika philosophy, one. Then the whole sort of Buddhist, also the concept how to develop from this level up to Buddha's level, the Kasa, Prajins, Abhisamaya Alankara. That book we study, one very important. Then Umujugo Kasa, Madhyamika Avatara, plus Madhyamika Mulakarika, Nagarjuna, these. And then Digna and Dharmakirti's, you see, logic text. You see, these are main texts we study. So therefore, now among the Buddhist world, I think we Tibetan, in previously Mongolia, in early part of this century, the previous century, a lot of sort of damage in Mongolia, but we, since Chinese communist is in control, and they hardliner, narrow-minded, they really put a lot of restriction, study these things. However, handful Tibetan refugee community in this country. Now, recently I visited, over 10,000 monk students, they still carry this knowledge through rigorous study, at least 20 years study. So, basically, Tibetan 1,000-year-old tradition which introduced by Chandra Rakshita, still we kept. So, so the Nalanda tradition, much sort of emphasis on reasoning and a logical approach. So some Chinese scholar, some university, so after they saw some of our publication here, they express, Tibetan Buddhist tradition is true lineage of Nalanda. And that Buddhist tradition is very scientific religion. So it is very true. So therefore, now Nalanda tradition, we still that tradition very much alive among our sort of city, knowledgeable people, like that. So now, Nalanda in India, all these Nalanda masters are Indian, no Tibetan. So usually I describe you Indian, traditionally our guru, our teacher, we are Chala. And we not only just a Chala, reliable Chala. All this knowledge, now Nalanda disappear, but this knowledge still we kept very much alive. So that proof we are reliable Chala. Isn't it? So sometimes I teasing my Indian friend, this physical, not Indian, Tibetan, but this mind, I'm more Indian than those modern Indian who educated Western education. Those Indian who thoroughly Western education. You see, you're physical Indian, but your mind is Western educated mind. So now you should pay more attention. This ancient Indian knowledge, as I mentioned earlier, only this country can combine modern education, which exists in this country very well, and the technology, science, all these material things, very important. But look, Western country, materially highly developed, but as far as inner peace is concerned, much lacking, too much emotion. So therefore, for that, ancient Indian knowledge, how to keep peace of mind, so that firstly revive in this country, then India can show rest of the world, beside the material development, but inner, sort of the inner development, inner world, inner peace. So I feel India can contribute for world peace effectively, training our mind, propagate concept of ahimsa, karuna. So now young Indian, as an Indian, you should feel proud. This nation, you see, I think a lot of potential to make contribution, better world, better humanity, happier humanity. So you should pay more attention for study this ancient Indian knowledge. So that is about my talk. Then some questions now.
A very good morning to His Holiness. So I must say this is a pleasure to be in your presence and be blessed with your teachings. So I want to ask that in all the religions, a special place has been given to dhyan, that is meditation. And in this fast-paced and competitive world, how can one achieve long-lasting peace and remain calm?
Shamatha, single pointed meditation, is just, or say they channelize the strength of our mind. Usually, you see, our main mind, chit, usually we call sixth mind. You see, very much sort of, or say they combine with sensorial five senses of organs. So the logical approach or thinking is the sixth mind, not sensorial level consciousness. Sensorial level just bring information. The real sort of judgment they carry by sixth mind. So, 그래, 그 같이. So now, for example, anger, frustration, fear, all these are part of chit, or sixth mind, not sensorial. So materialistic world, mind, they do not, as I mentioned earlier, they do not, so, their knowledge is very limited about mind. In beginning of, till 20th century, the scientists they simply consider there is no mind except brain. Now, later part of 20th century, more and more now scientists, especially brain specialists, now realize there is something which affects our brain. That's chit. So now, training, in the sense, you see, shamatha is channelize our mind, not following sensorial consciousness, but main mind, chit, you see, increasing its sort of ability. Then meditate on different subject. Now, here, usually we say vipassana, marve, analytical meditation, analyze. So, now here, analytical meditation about is in different emotion, anger, compassion. We can understand deeper level. Anger is destructive. Compassion is constructive. And anger and compassion cannot go together towards one subject. No, when anger comes, no compassion. When compassion comes, anger, no place. So, you see, the practice of dharma really means analyze these things, then put more emphasis about compassion, then automatically anger reduces. Now here, the modern scientists, some scientists say basic human nature is more compassionate because we are a social animal. So on that sort of base, you see, we use our brain, analyze what's the value of anger, what's the value of compassion. Here, you see, one of the best sort of book about this matter, the Shantadeva, great practitioner and scholar, his writing, Buddhism, one book, 10 chapters. That 10 chapter, you see, 6th chapter, you see, series of explanation and with comparison, anger and compassion, or mainly anger, 6th chapter. Then 8th chapter, he mentioned selfish and altruism. Not talking about next life, not talking about nirvana or moksha, simply how to have day-to-day life, more peaceful mind. So these texts, we have some copy. I want to give you and study, think, analyze. Very useful. I myself also, you see, last now over 50 years since I received oral transmission. You see, this book, it really transformed my way of thinking, my emotion. And of course, other books, the Nagarjuna's, Madhyamika Mulakarika, as some book I already mentioned, these very, very helpful. You see, to transform our raw emotion. And here, the scientific sort of finding also very helpful, like that. So, anger, frustration, actually eating our immune system. So constant anger is very bad for our health. Other side, compassionate mind, very, very helpful to our sort of physical health also. So like that. So through meditation, mainly analytical meditation, very useful, powerful way to transform our mind. Okay. So through
Thank you, sir.
prayer, uh, uh, not sufficient. Pray to God. Pray to Buddha. Buddha himself, you see, express, I cannot sort of wash his disciples' sort of sin. And nor he cannot remove suffering of his disciple. Nor he transfer his own inner quality to disciple. Only thing is, he explain how to transform our emotion. So he himself is taught like that. Good. Thank you.
Good morning, His Holiness. I really thank you for coming here to I Am Both here. So, in this world full of expectations, sometimes we could not meet those expectations.
Yes.
So, we have that feeling of guilt, that feeling of frustration. So, how to cope up with that feeling?
According to Buddha Dharma, since our mind very much sort of influenced by ignorance, so this expectation, some expectation are realistic expectation, some are unrealistic expectation. So now analyze. When you want something, then analyze and try to see is it that object not only from one angle, three dimensions, or because of the or because of some of four dimension. Analyze and should look when you also sort of the desiring some object, analyze just through emotion, just to look one angle, you cannot see the reality. So mind more calm, neutral, and then analyze. Then you can see the reality fully. Then your approach become a realistic approach. So through realistic approach, you can achieve what you want. Many desire unrealistic. So effort, unrealistic effort, always fail to bring what you want, and more regret, frustration, and anger. Okay, so our intelligence is very important to analyze, not faith. Okay.
Good morning, His Holiness. My question is, being a part of this universe, it seems so obvious to be able to connect with everyone else in the universe. But forget about any other species. If we can connect with our own kind, it feels like an achievement. So why is this barrier, and how can we transcend this barrier, connect with oneness?
Now, if you ask child, this is so long, with smile, other child with smile, play together, same. They don't ask what is your religion, what is your nationality. So now, gradually, once they join education, school, then you see emphasis, nationality, different religious faith. So basic, so the child, some kind of sense of oneness is there. Once we join education, now existing education should have some more sort of, the lesson oneness of human being and basic human nature, and according Indian these 1,000-year-old Indian tradition, these I think should part of our education. So then once join education, then emphasis religious, because of different religion, different nationality, and then that develop the strong sense of we and they. So therefore, in education, I think should also should include the sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings, and any human community, their future depend on rest of the human community, 7 billion human beings. So I always try to share the 7 billion human beings. 7 billion human beings are same human being, mentally, emotionally, physically, and same, all have same right, and then individual human beings' future depend on rest of the human community. So we really need sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings through education. Okay.
His Holiness, we see in this material world, we always want more. Like I set a goal, I achieve it, but I always want more. At the end of the day, I'm not content. So how should we, like, I'm really confused. How should I get that inner peace out of me?
That's, as I already mentioned, you see, our desire, no limit. So then, you see, should think those objects which we want to achieve, whether realistic approach or not. That's important. So then, you see, things, you see, you want something, but beyond your ability or opportunity, then should practice contentment. So, desire, good. All movement, all sort of progress, whole human history, even animals, I think a desire, you see, sort of carry because of progress rate over 1,000 years, all like that. Without desire, there is no further progress. So desire is good, but it's an unrealistic desire and sometimes bring disaster. So contentment, and should be realistic. Okay.
Thank you, Your Holiness. I wanted to ask, do you think that mindfulness and self-compassion, do they lead to happiness?
Certainly. You see, lot of problem, lot of worry is ultimately self-centered attitude. For that, compassion brings immense sort of help to reduce self-centered feeling. So compassion is very, very helpful to bring inner peace. That much I can share with you according to my own experience, as I mentioned the answer to other one, the Shantadeva's book, or this 8th chapter. Wonderful. Lot of discussion with selfish and altruism and make comparison. That very, very helpful. Not just a faith, but analyze. Intellectual level, analyze what emotion bring more inner peace, what emotion destroy emotion. That, destroy our the inner peace. So, Because the constant think about compassion automatically reduce self-centered attitude. Okay.
Your Holiness, I feel privileged and fortunate to be in your presence. So, you have traveled across the world, Europe, Australia, US. You have been everywhere. You know there is diverse ethnicity. Given that we are son and daughter of one Almighty, there is so much of difference and hatred throughout the human history. So my question is, if you can do one magic, what will be that to ease this difference?
I don't think no magic. If you believe God, God also no power of magic. Buddha, as sort of Buddhist, the Buddha, as I already mentioned, is no magic. Only teach how to reduce destructive emotion, how to increase constructive emotion. That's Buddha's own way to help us. Otherwise, no magic. Magic, I think, usually you see we understand rare. Magic sense to do something unusual, something. Then sometimes we call magic. Otherwise, you see, each event due to its own causes and conditions. Without causes and conditions, something old certain thing happen. Never. There's a nature law. Cause, effect, cause, effect, cause, effect. The Buddha's first dharma teaching, or impermanence. So impermanence means everything is due to cause, and cause momentarily changing. So the effect also changing, like that. Okay.
Thank you.
His Holiness, people often commit mistakes, and we all know that we should learn to forgive and forget. But my question is, how do we forgive ourselves for our own mistakes first?
As forgiveness, just you see, too much regret your own mistake. That, in a way, useful, in a way, too extreme. I think any emotion go extreme, not good. So regret, regret, too much regret, and demoralize, and your inner spirit then become weak, not good. So self-confidence is very, very important. Once you feel now you are useless and nothing, then completely demoralize, and you spoil our human life. So regret, some extent, very important. You realize mistake and regret, and you no longer sort of commit future. So that's good. Too much regret, demoralized, not good.
Thank you.
Then here, I think the one Buddha's teaching, everybody ultimately, our basic nature of our subtle mind is pure. So that we call Buddha nature, Tathagata Garbha. So that really gives us inner sort of self-confidence, and I can be, because I can achieve Buddhahood. So full of courage, full of self-confidence, very important.
Good morning, His Holiness. It's an honor to have you in our campus. So, as an MBA student, we are involved in lots of activities which require consistent attention and effort. So, in what ways we can increase our productivity in our hectic academic life?
Education, very important. Education fully utilize our special brain. The thousands of different species of mammals, only human beings' brain is something very special. There is real potential. So education help to further develop or utilize or that intelligence or our brain. So when I study, uh, I I was quite lazy student. Uh, so my teacher is showing me, I said, they weep because I lazy person. uh, so you see, when you are young, you say certain subject, you really feel boring. But you see, I think sometimes your friend, your teacher, you see, and also some sense of competition, a positive way, very important. I do not want behind. I want to be top. That kind of sense of competition is right. But in order to you, because of the reach top and create some problem other, that sense of competition is wrong. So yourself want to be top. It's very good. And to show other, also you see, reach top. Very good. So should not feel because of the discouraged way, discouraged or pessimism, not good. Okay.
Thank you.
Good morning, His Holiness. I always wonder, I am an economics teacher, and I always wonder how we are always thinking about high GDP growth and all. So how can we think about more sustainable, sustainable planet and all? So what we can give to our future generation. So we are not thinking, we are only thinking about how to have more growth and growth, but our resources are limited. So how can we have more sustainable future generation, and they can also have nicely living life?
Now, economic development is very necessary. At the moment, there are huge number of poor people. At global level, huge gap, rich and poor, and national level also a gap, rich and poor. So, generally, we still need economic development in this country also. Now we need further economic development. But at the same time, we also, you see, how to say, keep in our mind the taking care about environment. Too much sort of, because of the nature resources, too much exploitation. That very harmful for ecology. So we should keep these. And I usually sit expressing in Tibet, there are many nature resources. So these necessary to exploit, but extreme way then very harmful for ecology situation. So now ecology very important. Global warming really very serious matter. So according to some ecologists, scientists, they say the global warming, the next few decades, global warming reach such a sort of extent, the whole world may become desert. So, so economic development without taking notice about ecology is long run not good. So the other day I met Chief Minister. See, he some sort of plan to planting more trees. That's very good. very important. So ecology, actually, you see, beyond our control, global warming. So this goes continuously. So what we can do is try to preserve, try to pay more attention about ecology, like that. But India, I usually see expressing, we Tibet, the snow mountains, and most of the rivers which cover China, Yellow River, into China, and mainland China also the Kasa, Ka, or Yangtze, or Yangtze River, and then Brahmaputra and Ganga, all these rivers come from Tibet. So sometimes I describe we Tibet as supplier of water to India. So preserve, taking care especially about Tibetan environment is very essential. Over 1 billion people's life depend on those rivers which come from Tibet. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Your Holiness, welcome to our campus, and your presence has definitely made this day memorable for all of us. So, my question revolves around this age of ours. For us, it is always exciting to work on new things, and any new idea seems to be attractive and catchy to us in the beginning. But due to this, we sometimes get deviated from our prior commitments or priorities. So, how can we attain stability and focus towards our pursuit and not get distracted along the way?
Kasa. Oh. As I mentioned earlier, analyze and those different subject, some subject for education, something important, but judging from holistic, not very important, could be. So judge the approach realistic way. So your sort of particular subject is something relevant, your holistic sort of approach, then very good. And your subject not much sort of relevant, then you can change your subject. Okay.
So, but we do lose time in like changing too many ideas and working on too many things at the same time. So, like, how do we know that this is our thing and we should work on this, focus on, and not get distracted on like short-term goals, maybe?
So, as I mentioned earlier, holistic view and analyze, and also ask some of your friend and including your teacher. Then you can take conclusion. Once you have full sort of confidence now, this subject is really I can study, I can be professor or specialist in this field, and it can be useful to the society as well as myself. So think and seek some advice from your friend. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Holiness, for gracing this occasion. So, sir, in today's learning in our management journey, we learn a lot of, we talk a lot about key performance indicators, a lot of metrics, and we try to quantify each and everything. So these learnings, as you said, we can can we translate these learnings to our spiritual journey as well?
I think knowledge About a material thing, there is limitation. But knowledge, as a further development of our mind, no limit. So as I mentioned earlier, our Buddha nature, that's the potential. And utilize human brain fully. And as far as Buddhism is concerned, is analyze about the ultimate reality, shunyata. Shunyata means patitha. Everything depends each other, not exist independently, as quantum physics say. So now some student about quantum physics in some Chinese university, you see, some student they experience kasoda. Nothing exists as appears, as independently exists. Much depend on our observer's sort of view. So that reduce grasping something independent existence objectively. So that helpful to reduce attachment and anger. So that's exactly Nagarjuna stated that. So we usually see the kasota, any kasota subject which you study and appears something absolute, then that kind of view, wrong view. So you should have more holistic sort of view. 그래 저도 그래. So further development of mind, no limitation. So this very mind eventually become Buddha's mind, as far as Buddhism is concerned, through training. So not only just one life, limitless lives, eons. So mental level development, no limitation. But we can train, we can develop our mental quality, endless, like that. Okay.
Thank you, Holiness.
Thank you for enlightening us.
Thank you.
Your Holiness.
So now young Indian, now you should carry the ancient Indian sort of knowledge which I think world need. So firstly, within the country should revive, as I mentioned earlier. Then you can show rest of the world how to bring genuine peaceful world.